So, ladies and gentlemen, today this is going to be a personal request from one of my old pals from Lorne, New Brunswick, who asked me a number of years ago to do a print column on this show, but I didn't have a chance because I can't just keep it at one column, so we're going to just do the first and a few on what I consider the second best science fiction series of the 60s and 70s. Of course, that's Space 1999. Now, this British production, a lot of you know about it. The Andersons were the producers and creators of the series and had advanced special effects very similar to the British show Thunderbirds. But what happened with season one, they picked up two very key actors from the former Mission Impossible show they were on, Martin Landau and Barbara Bain, their husband and wife acting team, great gravitas to the series, and also the great Canadian character actor Barry Morse played Dr. Bergman, the number 3 on the show, sort of a combination of Spock and McCoy. Now, Space 1999 was a direct kind of rip-off of Star Trek, but in this case, it had a British feel to it, and I think the episode that really brought everything into focus was a Christopher Lee guest star appearance in an episode called Earthbound. Now, in this plot, it's sort of a Shakespearean film noir style, where basically there's a senior official on Moonbase Alpha called Gerald Simmons, who basically wants to get back to Earth several weeks after Moonbase Alpha had a big nuclear explosion on the moon and went out of the Earth's trajectory. He believes he has nothing to offer to people on Moonbase Alpha. He's a public servant. Nobody likes him. Captain Koenig basically doesn't like him as well, and there's many scenes in the episode where John and Gerald are at each other's throats in relation to how to best run Moonbase Alpha, should they be concerned about surviving or getting back to Earth. Now, ironically, Moonbase Alpha gets a reading that there's a spaceship that's heading towards the moon, a very unique spaceship, almost in a dewdrop style, actually very similar to some of the unidentified flying objects seen in the States and internationally in the 1950s and 60s. The ship is brought into Moonbase Alpha, it lands, and we quickly find out that the occupants of the ship are in suspended animation. Now, when Koenig authorized Dr. Helena Russell, Barbara Bain of course, to perform a direct examination of the suspended animation blocks, she accidentally breaks one open and the occupant dies. Now, when this happens, the rest of the occupants of the craft are revived, and the main one is played by Christopher Lee. And you gotta understand this: Christopher Lee was a hot property at the time. The great Hammer film actor, just coming off The Man with the Golden Gun, the James Bond movie, and they played him very heavy in this episode. Can you imagine this? He's 7 feet tall, with a very, very strange kind of applied makeup, almost like a 7 foot tall hippie, but in this case, very friendly and very understanding of what's going on. Now, we found out that Lee plays Santor, the captain of the Caldorian expedition, and he quickly describes to Koenig and the rest of the representatives what's going on. His home planet has instructed the remnants of this area to find different places across the universe, either to help colonize or to add on or give added value to the location. And they are programmed to go to Earth. They're going to stop at the moon first, and then approach the Earth to say, we'd like to join you. And when the commissioner finds out this, he basically tries to hijack the situation by putting himself into the cube so the Caldorians could take him back. Now, Koenig wanted to basically use the computer on Moonbase Alpha to decide who gets on, but the commissioner doesn't want to hear this, and thus the hijacking comes in. Now, I'm not going to give away the end of the episode, but it's a Twilight Zone twist that actually was talked a lot about by critics, TV and otherwise, saying this is probably one of the strongest episodes of the season. And for me, it really stands out because 1975 was a syndication-filled landscape for sci-fi. Star Trek was an heavy syndication, but Space 1999 couldn't get a network deal, and it was put in syndication. It was a big risk. I think bringing Christopher Lee in, it gave us gravitas in Australia and Canada and the Commonwealth countries. And for me, putting it in on Saturday afternoons right before the main Hockey Night in Canada game, it really stood out for me. I found this episode to be tremendous. It's too bad it wasn't a 2-hour episode, because it would have been tremendous to see Christopher Lee eat up more scenery than he did in this episode. Christopher Lee to me is a tremendous actor, very underrated. I know it's hard to say because he's appeared in so much, but he plays the captain of the alien craft perfectly. It's so good, like Barbara Bain, Landau, and even Barry Morris have to back off and just amazed by the way he's acting in this episode. Now, if you have a chance, now, the reason I'm doing a little kind of mini review, Space 1999 has just been added to the Tubi streaming network, which is available through the Roku box. So it's not the high definition episodes, but free is free. Now, the music in this episode makes it work, because it was remixed from previous Space 1999 incidental music, and it's just tremendous. But I would suggest, if you're watching this episode, be very careful. Like most season 1 episodes, after the initial 4 or 5 minutes of intro, the whole plot of the episode is given a synopsis in about a 1-minute edit at the first. I would suggest not to look at the edit, because in this case it might give away a little bit too much. And there's also a scene where Moonbase Alpha representatives are presented with collectible eggs, which is a very hippy-dippy scene, but for this it works. So this episode, out of 5, 4.5 stars. Earthbound is just tremendous in the novelization too. Space 99 was everything back then. There was collectibles, trading cards, books, comic books. I mean, they had it everything. And again, it's the second best science fiction series of the 60s and 70s, and that's saying a lot, because there was a lot of important stuff that arrived there. The only regret I have, season 2 was kind of weak. It was sort of more populist. Season 3 never came about. But as bad and as stoic as Barbara Bain is an actor, Mark Landau really acts perfectly in this episode, because he leaves Christopher Lee be the character he needs to play. And the other, the fellow Caldorians don't even say a word to my knowledge. So he says in 10 words where another alien would take 1,000 and be maybe 4 times as boring. So Christopher Lee should have got at least an Emmy nomination for his performance, but there wasn't a category like that back in 1975, like guest appearance in a drama. So ladies and gentlemen, looks like some of the blocked off roads because of the flooding to Brunswick are now open. Please enjoy the trip home, that you don't have to do an extra 150 kilometers. But again, Space 1999, the high def version, are available through A&E and other productions. The Tubi version is standard definition, but the music soundtrack alone is worth it, because 44 years ago, the original Space 1999 fans like me, we could hum the theme song, and I mean, the theme song was just the music was tremendous, much better than Star Trek, by the way. And you find that confusing. There's no confusion. Space 1999 soundtrack is much better than Star Trek. It just sums it up. It's a plot. It's a character in itself. The music in Space 1999. Anyway, so, and this is in tribute to Barry Morse, who I met in 1980 at DRHS. Barry Morse has always been an influence in my career because of the quality projects he was involved with. Great Canadian supporter of the arts. And too bad he passed away. I'm very honored to have met him, and this is dedicated to all the fans and the family and the friends of Barry Morse. Barry, we love you, we miss you, and like I said, your legacy lives on in Space 1999. By Barbara Bain, I consider you one of the worst actresses of all time, but I'm glad you got the Emmys to prove me wrong. Have a good day. Bye.